we recognize the best preparation for heaven is live already now, exactly in the same way as one lives in the world you want to go to after death. You want to be accepted into an ashram of a great teacher in the other world? This is possible, but only if you live already down here on earth in the same way as it is customary over there. The disciples asked, "Where will we be after death?" The thinker answered, "Not as far as you think. Each of you may visit the place of his future abode already during his lifetime." So the question is not, as many people childishly think, will I go to heaven after death? Rather, the crucial point is quite different. Are you already living in heaven right now, here on earth? Even if you were placed in the most terrible circumstances, only on earth can you prove that you really already are such a high creature, that you belong in this highest sphere, that this highest form of life corresponds to your nature, to your inner being. Living in heaven already now. How do you imagine that for someone who does not want to enter a teacher's ashram right away as a disciple? A wonderful example is the biblical story of the transfiguration of Christ. In the midst of earthly life, Jesus converses with Moses and Elias. This means for your everyday life, when your vibration is high and your fiery body is built up, when your aura radiates with purity, wisdom, power, joy, light and love, the spiritual part of your being reaches up to heaven. Your spiritual father, your supermundane friends and co-workers are close to you. Sense their presence, talk to them, make sure that you behave with dignity so as not to drive away your guests from the higher spheres. Only if you are living in heaven already now can you honestly say, I am looking forward to my death. Because then you know exactly what you have to expect. And you realize that life in the higher world, where material adversities no longer exist, will of course be even more beautiful than the most heavenly earthly existence. Before you finally determine the goal of your life, be sure to try it out beforehand. Are you capable at all of living in the heaven you imagine? Are you still dreaming? Or are you really already living according to higher laws? Or do you perhaps prefer to set your sights on another, lower sphere? Why are you talking so much about the hereafter? I am young. That doesn't concern me in the least. There are 3 things to say to this. Firstly, you cannot know how long your life is going to last. Secondly, there remains so much to do to make your existence in this world, and thus also the one in the hereafter, worthy, that you cannot start early enough. Thirdly, what do you want to use the rest of your life for, however much time is still given to you? In order to gain experience and to grow, of course. You can have the best experiences, learn the most, and gain most at the feet of your teacher. So do not lose a single day. True longevity is not calculated by the number of years, but by the progress in virtue. If the Lord God gives me 1 more day of life, He does it so that I may correct yesterday's mistakes. Not to do so would be a sign of great ingratitude. Preparation for the hereafter should begin in good time, preferably immediately. If you wait until shortly before the transition, there will not be time enough to acquire the skills you will need over there. One has to acquire the right of entry into the subtle world with full consciousness, but this is impossible to attain on the eve of departure. Use every single day as a unique, non-recurring opportunity to get closer to the highest spheres and their sublime inhabitants. Each day and hour, man either draws nearer to or recedes from the higher world. If you set out seriously, you will soon realize, contrary to expectations, the main difficulties do not lie in the external circumstances, but within you yourself. We have just said, you will not so much come to a certain place, but to a community of souls, which are spiritually close to you, which are on the same level of consciousness as you. Know then, my son, that even in the other life you will be counted among the number of those whose comrade in joys and sufferings you have been in this life. He will be counted among the people of the world in the other life, who deals with them and their affairs in this life. You will find yourself in the hereafter among the same souls with whom you were already spiritually connected on earth. Did you cheer gladiator fights in the arena in ancient Rome? And are you today bellowing around in football stadiums? Did you already roam the streets in the Wild West and again in this life as a member of gangster gangs? Then, in the higher world as well, you will come exactly to that sphere where your kind, your cronies, gather together again for such activities and continue to do mischief. Even the earthly wars, will be continued over there by those who pass over full of hatred and aggression. The devachan of an ardent monk whose devotion is to the saints, the Virgin Mary, the Church, and all that it signifies, will be passed in those surroundings and with those who have called out that devotion. Ask yourself, with whom do I have a real spiritual connection, a true closeness from soul to soul? To this sphere you belong. There your soul will go after the death of your body. What are you doing on a plane whose inhabitants, customs and laws are alien to you, among whom you do not feel comfortable at all? The way of life of the interior ashram is the expression of the incarnate's membership in such a spiritual community. Do you want to return from this life to your family as a hero or as a traitor? Only if you live down here in the same way as your soulmates do up there in the eternal home, you really belong to them. Each life of the heart attracts those who reveal kinship of spirit. A life which is thus begun is extended in the supermundane spheres. If you are not faithful while in exile on earth, you will not dare to look your teacher and your fellow disciples in the face again in the other world, and you will exclude yourself from their community. Prove in earthly life that you are a disciple of the Brotherhood. Otherwise, you cannot be such a one in eternity after death in heaven either. Always remember, as a disciple of a teacher, on the descending line, you in turn are the teacher of smaller brothers and sisters who are below you on the ladder of hierarchy. You begin your career in the hierarchy as a disciple. If you fulfill this office well, you will in time rise to become, for example, the novice master of your ashram. An Agni Yogi always looks upwards and emulates role models higher than him. He looks ahead to the future. He is never satisfied with what he has achieved. Dissatisfaction is no more than the knowledge of possibilities. In our brotherhood, there is no satisfaction, for satisfaction means the death of the spirit. The onrushing task of world creation cries out against satisfaction. Can there be joy in completion? We gain impetus from the joy of new beginnings. So you will not want to remain permanently on the level of a disciple in your teacher's ashram. Let us also look ahead to the next step. When you have learned enough, one day your teacher will send you out to set up your own ashram. so that you may pass on the knowledge you have received and educate disciples yourself. This is how the sublime way of life of the ashram spreads among the people. Those who receive must also give.